We are interviewing and welcoming back Molly Youngblood Geiger to the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties Show. Coming up next, stay tuned. So good day, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. And as the joke goes, I know that it's not Saturday morning everywhere, but it's my last hour of Saturday morning where I am here. We're coming to you live from Southern California, from Florida, and from Tennessee today. And we're pulling the links to bring together people from all over the world. So hopefully you'll join us and have fun with the conversation today, because we're doing something we haven't done in a long time, and that is celebrate the presence of Molly Youngblood Geiger. Before we introduce her and bring her on, we're going to introduce Tim, our comment wrangler, who's going to help us today link up with the audience there. So, Tim, why don't you go ahead and turn your mic on and say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Morning, everyone. I'm Tim Longwell of Longwell Art, and I didn't know I moved to Tennessee unless he's talking about Andrew. I'm in southeastern Oklahoma, and I'm no longer with Longwell Arts, technically. It's now Longwell Art Studios because we have expanded and added an additional crafting artist to our YouTube presence and persona, where we encourage you to reignite your creativity and benefit the health and happiness that comes with it.
Well, it's getting smoother and smoother, Tim. Thank you very much for that. I like the fact that you're incorporating studios into your title there, and that I believe that's going to serve you well, because people are going to wonder, Longwell Art Studios conveys more about what you do and what you deliver, not just that you paint or that you create art, but that you actually process the industry yourself. So thank you very much. Now we're going to introduce Molly all over again. It's been how long has it been, Molly? I don't even know. But why don't you come on board and tell us a little bit about yourself? And I know that we've always referred to you as the Google lady. So a lot of that's going to come to play as you do your introduction here. Say hi.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Youngblood Geiger, and I am coming out of Jacksonville, Florida. The name of my agency is Design Right For You, and primarily we provide website design, digital marketing, and SEO services for businesses. So it's actually been quite a while. It's been a little bit over a year, I think, since I've been on the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Just been busy running my business and taking care of my daughter and doing a lot of things with Google. So it's been pretty
a lot of things. So we're going to get into just what the a lot of things are in a few moments here. But your challenges have been immense. You went through a radical hurricane, among other things, and the whole world was caught up in what was going on with Florida. So tell us a little bit about your experience with that and what you had to live through during that time.
Yeah, well, hurricanes are pretty common here in Florida. It's one of those things that, when you live in Florida, you can expect that at some point you're going to go through a hurricane. The last one was intense. It didn't really take us by surprise because we knew it was on the way, but it still was a Category 3, which is still a pretty serious storm. We had a few trees go down. Fortunately, nobody got hurt. House is okay. Cars are okay. It paled in comparison to last year's, though. Last year's hurricane was horrible. We were without electricity for 7 days. So, yeah. And, being that I'm on the computer most of the time, it was kind of challenging. But fortunately, we have a generator and we're able to overcome that. But, yeah, it's definitely one of those things that if it's a Category 3 or below, I'll usually hang out and work my way through it. But if it's a category 4 or 5, I'm gone.
So do you actually relocate? Do you pick up your stuff and go spend time with the additional family members, or where do you go?
Yeah, usually I go to Georgia. My parents have a home in Douglas, Georgia, in the historic district. So yeah, it's kind of a little safe haven. It's about 2.5 hours northwest of Jacksonville. So just enough to get out of the way of the storm, but not too far away from home.
Cool. So I'll be redirecting the conversation now because we really want to hear about Google stuff. And I love the fact that you brought up the idea of using the Thanksgiving weekend to kind of give thanks to Google. And I know that a lot of people are skeptical about certain aspects of Google and thinking that they want to dominate the world and all these conspiracy theories and all this crap, actually. But I mean, when I look at Google, I think of all the stuff that I've benefited from because of Google. So in a nutshell, let's let you take the helm here and talk about what you feel that we can be thankful to Google for.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I want to mention that today is Small Business Saturday. So all the small businesses out there, I want to say congratulations on staying in business. And I think part of that is using what small businesses can use, like the tools that Google gives us for free. As a business owner myself, I use Google tools every day, ranging from Gmail, Hangouts, Google Docs, Drive, Sheets, Forms, so many things that I use just on a daily basis to run my business. So I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that Google does offer users and business owners all these tools for free. And with that being said, sometimes along the road using these tools, you may have a question. And Google actually has a solution for that. They have the Google Product Forums, which is an area where users can go who have questions. And within these forums, they have what they call our rising stars and top contributors, in addition to community managers. And these are individuals that go into the forums and they answer questions about products, depending on what their area of expertise is in. And I'm very thankful for the top contributors and rising stars who dedicate endless hours answering questions for users and helping solve their issues with using the tools that Google offers. In fact, recently I attended the Google Summit, and I learned that last year all the top contributors answered 100 million questions that users had. And that number to me is just staggering to think that all the top contributors and rising stars are out there answering questions and helping users like ourselves get the benefits of the tools that Google offers us for free.
That is something else. When I think about it, and I got started with Hangouts and live streaming a little over 3 years ago, and I was preaching it for 4 years ago, and finally just said, "Oh the heck with it! I got to do it myself." Nobody else seems to want to jump on board. We were indeed the cutting edge of the oncoming wave, and the early adopters of the whole scene in this product. So before I ramble on, I think Tim's got a comment from the audience, so let's see what's happening.
Well, before we got too far into the show, I wanted to let everyone know that we appreciate their viewing. We've got Aaron with Stroke TV, Barbara Quick, William Rock, and Kathy Pop on the website. Over on YouTube, for various reasons, we have Lowland Fulsang, Eileen Smith, and Arthur Moorhead, as I said, all on YouTube, all sharing the program with us today. And we're glad you could join us with this visit with Molly. Cool.
And all of those people named there, thank you for showing up, and thank you for being there in the audience. Feel free to comment, and especially if you're commenting in the VCP events page in DIY live streaming show, we very well might feature things going on right in the show itself. So please feel free to comment away. If you have questions as we go for Molly, please open up and let us know. And I see that WeWake is also out there, so he's an additional coming in a little bit behind the group that you had there. And Kathy Pop, thank you for showing up. And also, I haven't seen Eileen Smith for a while, and I'm really happy you're there. So thank you very much, folks, for showing up today. The numbers are still building, so that's great stuff. So earlier when we were talking, you said a little something about Hangouts and the structure of the people who are in charge of leading and directing the Google aspect of Hangouts changed, and they have a new person in kind of like in charge of that. I'm curious to know what your feedback is and what you've heard about as far as Google Hangouts staying, going, changing, anything news that you can have regarding Hangouts, because we are indeed in a Hangout now, and it's my preferred platform. So is there any news about Hangouts?
Sure. So about a year ago, Google came out with Allo and Duo. And a lot of people were kind of not really sure what was going on with Hangouts when those two apps came out. And essentially what's happening with Hangouts is not going away. So no worries there. But primarily what Google's trying to do with Hangouts is use it more as a business enterprise tool versus personal tool. That's why they came out with Allo and Duo, is they're really pushing more personal conversations using those apps versus Hangouts, which still today is used a lot for business meetings and so on and so forth. I personally use Hangouts for clients. I have some clients in Australia, over in the UK, that if I were to get on a phone call, it would get pretty expensive very quickly. So I know just for myself, I use Hangouts primarily for business purposes. So insights going into doing Allo, I actually had the opportunity when I was out at the Google Top Contributor Summit to go to what they call a breakout session for Duo and Allo, and there's actually a lot of updates coming up soon. We actually got to talk with the several of the team members on the Duo and Allo team. We were able to give feedback and actually kind of talk about Hangouts at the same time, because it did come up that why did Google come up with Duo and Allo? That was actually asked at our session, and primarily the explanation was just what I said earlier, that they wanted to focus more business needs with Hangouts versus personal. We were able to actually play around with the app and give some feedback, so that was pretty exciting to be able to just participate with Googlers who actually develop those products and give them insights like, hey, I'm a user, this is what I think, this is maybe where we could get some improvement within those platforms. So
cool.
Lots to learn.
Just as a little side note, the Allo and Duo of the two of them coming on board, I have very little use for Allo, and I probably just don't know that much about the benefits of having it or using it as opposed to what I'm already doing. But I use Hangouts for a lot of my communication things, and Allo does not right now pose an opportunity or an alternative to replace it. But what I'm curious about is with Duo, it's great for one-on-one. I use it and I communicate with my family, and I use it for that, and it's really a good app. But is Hangouts going to stay as a YouTube alternate or the quick fix implementation of live streaming? Is it going to stay in YouTube and it's going to have some longevity there?
As far as I know, there's no major changes with the Hangouts platform that's coming soon. So yes, it's primarily going to stay within the YouTube platform. But that's one of the things that, as a top contributor, we do have meetings with the community managers and product managers. So if I learn of any type of updates coming up soon, I'd be more than happy to share it with your group.
Cool. It's good to have you on the inside. And before we go on, I wanted to bring up your part of your bio, because it's so dynamic. I've been calling you the Google lady for at least 2 years, and probably longer than that. But the thing is, you've got so many credentials that are related directly to Google. You kind of lived in their digital world for, well, you've ever since, I guess. But you do so much over there that they can't help but recognize you do these things. So I would just wanted to display this real quick and show that you've got about 15 things on this sheet, and they all start with Google. So obviously the top one is top contributor. Is there anything else that stands out in the list that you would want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, primarily I would just say that my experience with Google started back in 2012. I received an email from Google asking me to attend what they called as the Google Engage program. And yeah, I'm a website designer, so I'm thinking, yeah, probably a good idea to participate. And then from there, they actually switched that program over to Google Partners, where I was an active participant, and just so much, answering so many questions. Became a Google Spotlighted partner. I actually got a cake from Google, which was pretty cool. And then
nobody gets a cake from Google. I'm sorry. You got a cake from Google.
It was good. It was good. From there, I continued to answer questions. I became Google Partners Ambassador. I'm also a Google Certified Partner, which means that I have certain certifications for managing AdWords and Google Analytics. And then from there, that's how I found out about the Top Contributor program. Was some of the moderators in that community were top contributors. I'm like, oh, what's this all about? And so I found a product that I felt comfortable with, which was Hangouts. Funny story, one of the requirements of being a Google Partners Ambassador was to host a quarterly Hangout. And at the time, I hated video. I wouldn't even sit in front of a camera. And Google sent me this video kit, and I had it on my desk, and I'm like, with this, I've already signed an agreement. I've got to start hosting Hangouts. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. And so I actually went and I Googled, how do you host a Hangout? And it landed me on Forbes.com. There was a lady hosting the very first Hangouts on Air on Forbes.com. So I interacted with her, and it kind of started a conversation. And before I knew it, she asked me to be a co-host on the very first Hangouts on Air. So no pressure. Your very first Hangout on Air is on Forbes.com. And there, I started going to the forum and answering questions, and the community manager at the time, he saw that I was being very helpful, so he made me what they call a Google Rising Star, which is an up and comer in the community. And then from there, I was like, oh, cool, I'm a Rising Star now, so I'm going to continue answering questions. And then before I knew it, I was invited to the Top Contributor program.
So it's really cool. Obviously, if people were to look down that list and itemize it, they'll understand why I just ended up calling you the Google lady, because I could not remember all of the bits and pieces. But we have someone that we're going to introduce in 1 minute. But first, we want to see what the comments are from Tim. So let's see what he's got coming in. I don't think that is a comment. So it's not a comment, Tim. What happened to? Oh, he's showing the Top Contributor program and the webpage for that. So thank you, Tim. I didn't realize that was what you're doing there. And now, Molly, I will turn it over to you, because you've got a special relationship with this additional guest in our green room right now, and you can tell everybody why it's special and what he had to do with bringing you into the program and so forth. So the man that joined us is William Rock, and I'm going to turn it over to Molly and William for a while. So say hi.
Absolutely. William was actually one of my influencers. He was made a top contributor, I think it was about a year and a half before I finally got the invitation. But, even though I try to influence people, I have influencers who I follow. And William was one of those people. And it's really neat to go to a Google Top Contributor Summit and actually get to meet these people that you engage with online, and network with them and learn from them and share with them. So With that being said, I'd like to invite William to introduce himself and talk a little bit about what his role and his experience has been with the Google Top Contributor Program.
Fantastic. Thanks, Molly, for having me on the show, and Roland and Tim. It's great to see you guys. It's been a long time since I've been on the show with you guys. William Rock from Kansas City, and I love being a top contributor. And then the same notion, we just got finished November 6th, actually meeting down in Mountain View, California together. Second time we got a chance to meet twice in person. So I work with Sunlight and Saunas. It's a local company here in Kansas City. I used to be just a complete contractor doing running about 15 different companies, and now I get to just run one company, which is a little easier to maintain. I'm a top contributor in the web search and Google Assistant web forums, and also in the Google My Business help forums. And I'm also a platinum top contributor, which is one of the highest levels you can get with all the additional badges that come along with it. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Comments from the field. Let's see what we got going. People are wondering what in the world is going on with the Smarties show today.
Well, we've got two going here. Okay, where'd the other one go? Well, it looks like for some reason Vivek's did not come up. So Susan Joyce Leaf says, since last year's change from Google Plus to YouTube Live, she continues to have problems with her screen sharing with various software demos. Are there good places to find updated documentation and tutorials? And where would she submit problems that she has? By the way, these are things that used to work under Google Plus, but no longer work the same way.
Yeah, so this is a prime scenario of a user having a problem. And so to answer that, I would recommend reaching out to the product forums and posting your question there. There are people there who answer these types of questions. But to get into your issue, there could be several different reasons why you're having this problem. I would recommend going into one of the product forums and posting it, and working with one of the top contributors to getting this answered.
Okay, so maybe as I can, I'll be looking for the option of finding the top contributor link, because that's really a handy thing to have if people don't know where to turn. And obviously, we users cannot answer every question because we don't run into all the things that happen. But the top contributors and the forums are going to be the collective recipients of the most collective questions and answers. So I'll get that link up before we're going. And if nothing else, I'll post it in the after show for people. So another comment from Tim. Let's see.
And this one is from Vivek. He says, Allo and Duo have a lot to do with text video communication and with the net neutrality hanging in the balance. When the internet gets fragmented into multi-tiered environment where the ISPs and mobile service providers may determine how popular a particular app is, it will become and is becoming very complex. Wondering what Google thinks of these. He specifically directs that at Molly, and I know that they were paramount in the being outspoken along with Microsoft when net neutrality was first addressed with the FCC under the Obama administration. So I'm sure their position, if anything, has strengthened, and we'll let our experts add further information on that.
You can, if you want both to turn on your microphones and just have an open chat, well, I welcome it. But that is an interesting question. What do you think? What do you guys think?
Well, I think from Google's perspective, I mean, that's always a consideration. But, right now, since we're in the throes and the balance of something happened and it hasn't actually happened yet, that's something that would be addressed. if there was concerns. But for right now, I know their focus is primarily to improve the Duo and Allo apps for individual users.
Yeah, I would agree with that. No, I think it's hard to tell with what's going to happen in the future with those programs as well. I think they're a great addition to applications. I necessarily don't use them. I use more of the Hangout side of things for all my communication, just because I'm used to it. And I kind of come with the same group of you guys. We all got on the Hangouts platform together, and that's really kind of how we developed our friendship as well. Is going through being able to use this tool. But as far as the regulations and stuff, I think that's more something we're going to see in the future, and it's really still undecided.
I agree with that, William.
And one of the things that I wanted to emphasize right here is that I've been using Hangouts almost exclusively since 2014. And I've ridden the wave through all the changes and the problems and the gremlins and the issues that Hangouts has had. But since they've gone to YouTube, I have had very, very few problems. They took some stuff away, but the screen share still works. And the few things, the lower third isn't maybe as flexible an app as it used to be, but it still works. And we can do the custom apps, as you can see. And so I'm very happy with the basic things, the elements that we have in Hangouts now. I just hope they stay and they don't mess with it too much. So let's see. I'm losing track of what the next thing is.
I'd like to add one more piece about the question about screen sharing, and having some problems with that. Sometimes that's just due to the bandwidth issues, and that's where you still, in Hangouts or even on YouTube, you can still go back and throttle your bandwidth, the settings inside there. So that's something if you're having issues where it might not be sharing or it's hesitating and stuttering, drop your bandwidth a little bit lower down in the settings, but also make sure you're hardwired. Sometimes you also have problems with wireless. If you're on your Wi-Fi settings on a laptop, per se, it might not be as strong.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Molly.
I'd say I was going to second that. When I first started using Hangouts, I actually had that same issue, and the quick solution was to always hardwire. So if you have the opportunity to hardwire a connection, i.e. like you're hosting a show and you want to make sure you have that bandwidth to support the video format, absolutely recommend hardwiring.
Yeah, the other thing I like to do is reboot my computer. So a lot of times when people get on these Hangouts, they forget they may have a whole bunch of applications running that might take the actual resources of the computer. And so just a nice free, refresh of your computer seems to do a lot of the tricks as well.
So some of the basics and fundamental things are very important. And when people use something like this and maybe they have not cleared cache and rebooted their computer for a week or something like that, and then they try Hangouts and they go, oh, this program sucks, and that's a misnomer. No matter what platform or what app you're using, you really deserve to clear all these things and do the fundamental basics before you open it up and give it a shot. Otherwise, you may not get the full benefit of what it has to offer. And we've been doing extensive experimentation with these things. Lowell and Fulsang, Tim and I have been doing this, and also Heidi has been very busy doing her shows with the VCP Events plugin. And we've decided that Hangouts is still one of the very, very best platforms to use, and it's been dependable ever since way back then, several years ago, and it's still now our platform of choice. With the only one coming on right now as a challenger is Lightstream, and Lightstream has a ways to go before they are real stable, but they're very promising. So we've got two players in the mix that may end up being the leaders in the free world, as opposed to all those webinar emulators that are charging anywhere from $400 to $700 a year. So go ahead, Molly.
I was just going to point out, that it's a prime example of, a Google tool in action. It's 100% free. There are product forums if you have questions, and some of the more common issues are always going to be audio and video bandwidth. These are just very common things that they just happen, and like William was pointing out, rebooting your computer, maybe clearing your cache. There's all types of tools that can be used within the product forums to troubleshoot problems with Hangouts. So, it's like any other Google product. It's something, not all the kinks are worked out, but they're being worked on. I think all the Google products are always evolving. They're always changing, they're always updating, they're always improving. That was one of the things I learned out at the Top Contributor Summit is the Googlers who manage those different products, those are their projects. They want the product to be successful, so it will encourage users to use it. So I think that if you have questions, again, I dropped the link in our Hangout here where the product forums are. I think William did as well. I encourage you as users to please go visit the product forums, because there are people like myself and William who we are there to help answer your questions.
Yeah, and to add to that a little bit, there's also, you'll find everywhere on every single product of Google a little button that says feedback. And when you click on that button, it's going to ask, it's going to have a place in there where you can fill out some information and giving that feedback where you might be having problems with the product. And by submitting that, that team member will actually be able to see that pretty quickly. And if there is a bug, then they can also address that at the same time. But the product help forums, there's so many out there that you can really get and benefit from. A lot of good PCs out there that can help out. We're just volunteers. So I'd give it a try. And I put it in the chat, like Molly said, not on just the chat here on our Hangout, but actually on the website chat that you sent me a while ago, Roland. So
yeah.
We can't put it on YouTube.
Yeah. Thank you very much, you guys, for the information. And we're going to go back to maybe a question regarding the Google Partners Summit, because apparently you were both there, right? So, I mean, that's quite an experience, and I wanted to get a little bit of a reflection on what you got there. But before we go on, if people are wondering how to get in touch with Molly, we're going to show you how to do that. And also, William, you're welcome to post your links in the event page and let people know how to get in touch with you too. And Molly, you better correct me if any of this is wrong, okay? So here we go. This is Molly Youngblood Geiger. So the Google Partners Summit, you guys, we're switching gears a little bit, but I didn't want to miss this because you both went to an event last month and I know it must have been a really awesome event. You get to meet people, you get to do things that the rest of the world doesn't. Maybe 700 people are even invited to this thing worldwide. So maybe you guys can open a conversation about what your experience was and share some thoughts about the event.
Sure. So just to clarify, we attended what's known as the Top Contributor Summit. Now, there is a Google Partners Summit, but that's a totally separate thing. They have summits for the advertiser community, for AdWords, analytics, Google Partners, and they usually have them in certain areas. Like Google Partners, I've heard, is in New York. The Google Top Contributor is always in Mountain View, which is Google headquarters, and they have other various locations depending on which summit they're preparing. But my experience, at least the last couple times I've gone, has been awesome. Literally from the moment I got there till the moment I left, I learned, I shared, I was able to express some of my ideas with Googlers, which I think is awesome, because one of the things I took away from the summit is the Googlers there really do appreciate what we do as top contributors, and they were very interested in learning what can we do to help improve the top contributor program? What can we do to help improve the product forums? What can we do to help users have a better experience? And I think when you have that open communication with Googlers, product managers, community managers, it helps make an overall better experience for everybody who uses Google products. And I know just for myself, as I mentioned earlier in the green room, I actually got to meet a few of my influencers, William, Ben Fisher, Mike Blumenthal, Joy Hawkins. I mean, I could just sit here for the next hour and tell you all the different people I had the awesome opportunity to meet. But I think when you have such a brain trust of such qualified and talented individuals that are willing to share their product expertise at the summit and every day with users, I think it's an awesome experience.
Yeah, I would second that. I mean, the list goes on for me as well. So I meet a lot of these people worldwide, Googler-wise, and getting the opportunity to shake their hand, sit down, and have a cup of coffee with them, is amazing. You're able to pick each other's brains, and at the same time is they're normal people just like us, And the other point is when we break out into little sessions, like one of the things I really like about the summit, which happens every 2 years, they bring everybody to Mountain View, California. We get to go out to each one of the Google buildings that the product is being developed at. So, for example, I'm in web search, so a lot of what I am dealing with is the Google Assistant. So things that you would be on your phone or now on the Google Pixel device, or even these little guys right here. So I don't know if everybody's seen, but like the Google Home Mini, it's out on the market right now. But this little guy is an incredible piece of knowledge because you can ask it just about anything. And just like you were doing a web search on Google.com, you can actually just ask a question to Google, and it's going to pull up that data that it would normally display on the screen and tell you a little bit more about that, or even go and help you with your calendar. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with that. But being able to just experience that type of technology and see what's the new innovations that Google's working on.
Sorry, I was caught up on.
I totally agree with that. Sorry, I had a moment there. I totally agree with William. I think that is part of Google's core strategy is being able to help users on a different level in terms of using the Google Assistant. Again, going back to Allo, that was one of the main features of Allo, is that it incorporates the Google Assistant, and to be able to have a hands-free experience where you're able to ask a question on the fly. What's the weather outside? What's this calculation? You can even use your Google Assistant to call family members, hands-free. So I mean, if you're multitasking and you need a quick question answered, I think that's part of Google's strategy, is to incorporate the Google Assistant within devices and apps and so on and so forth, to where it makes web searches a lot easier for users.
We're getting a repeated question from the audience, and some in the audience conversation regarding it. Is there a place or a document that lists the Google free, like Hangouts, Keep, Drive is available free? Is there some place that lists those type of applications that are available in one place, listed together for someone to reference?
Actually, there is. I didn't post to the website, but that would be the product forums. That's a place, and actually within Chrome, if you open up your Chrome and go to the upper right hand corner, there's a section where you can open up all the different tools that you use. Another thing to do would just be to just go do a Google search. That's actually how I found out about all the different tools that Google offers.
Just Google it.
Well, and here's another search term to go Google, and that's just type in Google Help Articles. And what you're going to end up with is basically that one spot dashboard where you can then kind of find all the different products that you can kind of learn from. When you're asking questions too, like Roland, you mentioned, just Google it. Most of the time you're going to come up with that product that you're searching for. Say it might be Google Hangouts per se. You're going to have help articles that are going to be like little tutorials. So you can easily get that information. And you'll see a lot of, when we're as top contributors in the help forums, people are asking us questions, but at the same time, you're going to see people answering with a help article that's really associated with that question as well most of the time, because Google's already prepared a lot of this for us, because they're getting the question more or less at million mark versus the 1 or 2s. And so it makes it a little easier to have that like library of information for them to be able to have resources. And the neat part is they're pretty regularly updated too. So if there's something that's being changed or something that's, say for example, on Google My Business, there's a lot of great help documents on that. And even if with Google My Business, if you have a business itself, you're looking out there, you'll see the product forums, and they also have an educational section within the product section. So wherever you have a help document or help forum, you're going to find help articles as well.
And I would actually add to what William said, that Google runs something called Help on Social on Twitter. So that's also another area for users to go to, that if they have questions regarding Google products, go check out Help on Social. It's a great quick way to get questions answered and just learn more about the different products. But I totally agree with William in terms of, I've actually done this myself, where I had a problem with an AdWords or analytics or Google My Business, and somebody had already asked my question, and I was actually able to go to that product forum and go, oh, there's my question, to get an answer instantly. So I think that's a common thing that we see, within the product forums I'm at, where there's certain things that, like with Hangouts, there's audio issues or video issues. A lot of times, if you're experiencing this, kind of like the question that we had earlier in our Hangout about Google Hangouts and YouTube, take that question and Google it to see if somebody else has asked it.
I think that people really underestimate what Google is as a search engine. In 2013, I did one of my first videos to post on YouTube, and I made the comment that everything that you want to know is already on the internet, and you have to just be better and better at searching for it. So whether you use Google or whether you use Bing or whether you use anything, if you learn how to search, you can discover just about everything that you want to know or need to know to do almost anything that you want. That's how I learned live streaming. That's how I learned a lot of technical stuff. And I found out so much by being in Hangouts like this and sharing information from people like Tim, Molly, and the various people who have been in our shows together. There's a lot of interchange and knowledge exchange there. And so just to get engaged and be involved in this is a very, very deep education. But learning how to search is not that hard, but we should all have a course on how to do it. We should all have a one-day course on how to search on Google. And then the information that we have, that we want and desire, we find that it's already there at our fingertips. Instead of sitting back and thinking to ourselves, how in the world do I do this? What is the answer to the question? Well, the answer is at your fingertips, literally. And now it's that vocal command where it's almost becoming your assistant is a robot in your computer and your desk that you can just ask them and they'll answer you. That's amazing where technology is going.
Well, and that brings up a good point too with the Google Home Mini. When I brought it home, my daughter was actually having a problem with algebra, and she didn't understand the problem, and she actually asked the assistant how, the question, and then not to get the answer for like the math questions and to write it down, but to understand it. It almost acted like a teacher. So it was interesting to hear the response from a robot on that perspective. Because I didn't think that was actually what it was going to do.
Think of the education that's going on when a child can ask a question and not be limited to the answer from a parent or a peer or a teacher, but the entire world of knowledge that's available becomes part of the database in the mind that answers the question for them. That is mind-boggling to me. Molly, was there something that you wanted to add there?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, the Google Assistant is, it's part of the evolution of search, and it's more of a personal assistant. And that's, when they introduced it on smartphones, a couple of years ago, it was a new feature. Now we've got devices like the Google Mini Home. It's a hands-free device where you literally can ask it just about anything, and it may not have a direct answer, but it's going to at least give you an opportunity to point you in the right direction so you can get that answer.
Cool. Now, when we started thinking about what we would theme out the day for, you came up with a really good answer, Molly, and that was to focus on being thankful and being Thanksgiving weekend and the week. Something that occurred to me in the midst of this is that some special holiday comes up and everybody gets focused on, oh, this is the time of year that we do this, or this is the time that year that we do that. And I'm really kind of, I'm weak on that concept, because I think that we should be thankful all the time. And being in a state of thankfulness kind of conducts the way we do everything between social media, our business, and live our lifestyle. If we are polarized with great gratitude and thankfulness, that changes your world, that changes your life. And so to me, it's like not just what should we be thankful for this week or today, but what are the things that involve Google under the circumstances, because the show is about being thankful to Google. What are the takeaways? What are the things that we should be thinking about that we are actually really indebted to Google for? And what do you think we can highlight here in this conversation? Oops.
For me, it's being thankful for the actual opportunity to bring friendship that you and I, Roland, have never met in person. But 2014, when Hangouts came, we became friends and have been on many shows together. And even though we've been apart, I haven't seen you for a long time, I'm thankful for the opportunity that Google gives me to be able to come back and say, hey, Roland, hey, Tim, hey, Molly, hey, audience.
Yeah. You could talk about that and say, well, there's nothing like being there in real life and so forth. But if you've never done the Hangouts like this and talked to people and been literally digitally intimate with people, you don't know what you're missing, and you don't know what. It's like you would never go back. Once you've done this with your family, you would realize daughters, sons, grandfathers, parents, everybody that would say, let's do that again. Once they've experienced it, they want to do it more. And it is a valuable experience. So Molly, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say my experience with Google and why I'm so thankful is when I started my business out, I had very limited resources. And Google was one of the few places I could go where I could get email or Gmail, or I could do a Hangout, or I could find out information on how to use AdWords, or how can I use Google Analytics to learn more about my website traffic, or, how can I create a document for free that automatically saves itself. I mean, I don't know about you. I've been in the very unpleasant situation of writing something and oops, I clicked the wrong button and then all my work's gone. And to me, when you have a company like Google that offers individuals and business owners free resources that will actually help them build their website, optimize their website, find clients, interact with colleagues, you have all these different attributes that Google offers for free just by asking, how do I do something? That is invaluable because it empowers somebody who may have limited or no resources and gives them the ability to do something with those resources, to build their business, to get their website found, to get their AdWords campaign optimized. Whatever it is that user's trying to do, Google gives that person the opportunity to do it.
Total empowerment. I agree. Ask and you shall receive. And I would add to this that one of the things that I'm so thankful for is my keyboard in front of my computer and the controls that are Control Z. So we'll get back to that later. But Tim has a comment from the audience.
This one's from over on YouTube. Arthur Moorhead of Art Fa Design brings out that he's acknowledging that Google has turned into an amazing search engine and its other products, and all because of semantic search. And we, all of us here in the green room know David Amerland, and his book is amazing about it, and the other stuff that he's written about search and Google and voice integration and everything from David has all been excellent advice and information to help us grow and make better use of the tools that Google has given us. And one thing most people may not even know about their Google, when you're in Google Docs or some of the other Google Drive applications, is you can type by voice. You do not have to use your keyboard. So I've been working with voice recognition for typing and interaction with a computer since the early 90s, teaching rehab technology when it was a special, very expensive, separate piece of software for a computer that struggled because the computers weren't really ready for the process yet. And now it's integrated and on a server to where your computer doesn't even have to process it.
That's very cool stuff. Go ahead, Molly.
I would say I'm actually very familiar with David. I've actually hung out with him on Hangouts before. I absolutely love talking about semantic search and search engine optimization. I actually could do a whole other Hangout for a whole hour talking about search engine optimization. So also the voice recognition is also an awesome feature. Again, going more to a hands-free type of environment where, you know, instead of having to purchase, like Tim was saying, that very expensive piece of software, Google now offers that for free. It's just about being aware that tools are there, going and using it. And, you know, I know a lot of people, they may have some apprehension on using certain things because they're just not sure, but I would encourage them to go Google it, go research it, go in there, break it, you know, figure it out, get over the learning curve, so to speak, and just get out there and use it. Because I know just for myself, you know, everything is part of my business is tied into Google. I mean, I use it every day, multiple times a day, and I think the tools that they offer really, you know, I can't thank them enough for everything that they offer.
You know, I have a new friend on the internet, and I won't just blurt his name out until we've talked more, because we're developing a relationship right now. But this is a gentleman who can speak just fine, but he was born without arms below the elbow. He has no hands, no forearms. I mean, his below the elbow is just nubs. And yet this guy is on the internet doing live streaming videos. He helps people with their computers. He cures virus problems. He troubleshoots and things, and he does everything by voice. So when would that have been not a possibility? When we look back into history, when did we suddenly have that ability to incorporate a lifestyle for him to be live streaming and helping people without any hands?
That's truly amazing. I mean, that's what I was going to bring up next, is being thankful for the capability for even not for having it. If I had a disability like that, being able to use voice search in that case, it's come so far along. You look, for example, even translate. You know, being able to translate a piece of content from a country around the world that you may not know how to interpret that yet, but then all you have to do is click a button that says translate, and now you understand, and you're speaking the same dialogue now with a person across the world.
It's absolutely amazing. And when we consider these things, the ability to do things, it extends out to the next stage beyond that, is how prolific can we be helping other people in the process of this communication network that we're building with internet communications. Instead of sitting in your living room or hoping that somebody knocks on your door to have a conversation with today, you can get online and talk to thousands and thousands of people. And just that alone, sharing knowledge with the world, and not being limited to your geography, your community, your town, or your neighborhood, but actually being able to reach out. And as you brought up, William, meeting people like us in the green room and having building bonds and relationships worldwide. So I know people in Britain, in Italy, in Indonesia, in Australia, New Zealand, and all over the United States is no longer even an issue because it extends so much beyond that. So I think that this has been instrumental in demonstrating exactly why we should be thankful for Google. And I think that it's so intricate and so broad at the same time. So as go ahead, Tim, do you have something?
Yeah, I just thought I'd pass this along that Lola Ann Fulsang is saying that her Google Home keeps answering and asking if it can help because we keep hitting the trigger keywords that wake it up.
Well, just tell it to shut up. Gotta tell it to shut up. Isn't there a command for that anyway? Okay.
Actually, I have. My daughter was started playing a song, and I was in the kitchen making dinner. And I came out. I was like, "What in the world's going on?" And I was like, "Google, stop playing the song," and it stopped. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Wow. An absolute digital non-human entity has a personality. That's amazing, you know. And the furthermore of that is, like, I think that this type of involvement with individuals connecting to their world can solve the problem of a lot of people feeling very alone and isolated. And it's the connective device is going to change the psychology of the world, just because the people do not feel out of touch or isolated or alone. And you know, the whole concept of alone is it's a mental thing. It's a mental thing. I'm actually in contact with far fewer people. I used to network twice a week, go to meetings, meet 20, 30 people, shaking hands and doing all that stuff. And now I'm sitting here at home doing this, and I am more connected personally with my world than I was then. The comparison is immense. So as we're wrapping it up, because we've only got a couple of minutes to go, I want to give you guys a chance, Molly and William, both to make maybe a final comment concerning thankfulness in Google, and maybe some of the things that maybe we miss or that you want to reemphasize, and the conscious, so to speak, is your guys.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of other programs that Google offers for free to help people, like Google Local Guides. There's an advertiser community. The list goes on and on. But primarily, my main focus is, I can truly say as a business owner that Google has helped my business succeed. As I mentioned, when I started out, I had very limited resources. I had an idea, I had a computer, and that was about it. And it was through using the tools that Google offered that I was able to build my business. I was able to find leads and make connections and learn from people. And I think that's kind of been part of my experiences when they reached out to me back in 2012. You know, I grabbed it by both horns, and I haven't let go. And I'm not going to. I'm going to keep contributing. I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep trying to help businesses succeed online. And it's through all the tools that they offer. So my 2 cents is that I can't thank them enough for everything that they offer for free. And I'm happy to help out in the product forums because I think it's worth it to help other people succeed.
I think it's great. And we're going to turn it over to William for a few last words in a second. But Molly, I think the thing to take away from this event is you are exemplary of the concept of giving. And I don't know anyone who gave more to the communities and to the concepts and the help forums and all that stuff. Nobody gave more than you, so you deserve to be the speaker on giving. So thank you very much for being here. And William, can we have a few last words from you? I'm going to give you an opportunity to maybe wrap us up.
Sure. Thank you guys again for the opportunity to be on the show. It's great hanging out with everybody. I would probably close out by saying, if like Molly said, keep learning. Don't stop learning just because it gets in the way. Figure out how to get past it. And if you can't get past it, jump out to the help forums. We'll help you out as much as we can in there as well. Plenty of people to help out. Just do a Google search. That's pretty much all I have.
Okay. And I wanted to add that if anyone is curious and wants to know more about possibly becoming a top contributor or being involved in the contribution program and the forums and the help world and all those things, to ask these two, contact them and ask. And by the way, before we go any further, want to say hi to Sarah. Little Sarah, I see you over there. Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you. You're looking really nice. So I'm glad to see you there. And everyone can wave at her, and she's getting digital feedback from the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are fulfilling the intention of today, and that is not only just to say hi to Google, but to bring everybody a little closer to the fulfillment of continuous thankfulness, continuous gratitude, and certainly in our digital world today, Google is a major part of that. So, as we're wrapping it up, we're saying thank you very much for the people in our green room and our guests, William Rock, Molly Youngblood Geiger, and there's also our assistant, Tim Longwell, the comment wrangler. And thank you very much for all the people in the audience who have been commenting and contributing to our discussion today. I really appreciate it a lot. We'll see you now from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Click it, Tim.